So in this video, I want to talk about the Eminence in the Shadow because Volume 3 has been completed in the anime itself. So this latest episode, we have now concluded Volume 3 of the story, and we are now entering into Volume 4 of the story. Now, my hopes and what I assume they will be doing is they will be ending Season 2 halfway through Volume 4. That's the assumption that I'm making based on how fast they've been going through the volumes. So they will end it at Volume 4 halfway, because this is a bit more of a meatier volume. There's some more crazy stuff going on, and I have seen some people say that they do feel like that they did rush through Volume 3 a little bit. I feel like it's more because of kind of how things are structured. They wanted to kind of restructure the speed and everything, but I feel like some scenes are shorter and some scenes are longer, where they felt like they wanted to put more like emphasis on certain things, and I think that was a very smart decision in some areas, because they clearly wanted to give a unique and different experience. And that's the thing that I've talked about in many of my videos. I've talked about Eminence in the Shadow through Season 1 and Season 2, and I've done nothing but praise it. I've enjoyed the entire ride. And again, I am a source material reader. I read the light novels, not the web novel, not the manga. I haven't played the games. I just read the light novels, and I am currently up to Volume 5, halfway through, mostly through it, and I will be doing my review on the second half of that soon enough. So if you do want spoiler content, because I'm not going to be spoiling anything in here, I do have those videos for you to check out on the channel. But with Eminence in the Shadow and how things have been going in Season 2, I honestly feel like it's been great. The ride has been phenomenal. Yes, Sid being Sid, he is completely wonkos and crazy, and that's what I love about him. I've seen some criticisms where some people say that they don't like the series because they find Sid to be psychotic and a psychopath, and it's like, really? You didn't work out that he's a little bit wonkos? Like, that's the entire premise of the story. That's like going into Overlord and being upset that Irons is evil and does evil acts. Like, wow, congratulations, Captain Obvious. You just discovered the whole point of the story. Like, yeah, they do what they're meant to do. It's just, yeah. So I feel like a lot of people that do still watch Eminence in the Shadow that hate Sid are just watching it because of the waifus, which is like, that's fair enough. You're entitled to your own opinion. I just don't agree with the opinion, so we can go our separate ways, and yeah. But I also do find that a lot of people that don't like Sid but still watch the show generally are more into harem or romance style animes where the main protagonist is kind of a little bit more simplified. The personality is a little bit more dumbed down. At least that's what my observation is kind of saying. Maybe there are some people out there that have different tastes that are kind of a little bit more varied, but at least some of the comments that I've seen or some of the reviews on it, I've noticed that some of those people are like, oh yeah, I don't like Sid, but I like the waifus in it. And it's like, okay, yeah, I love the waifus too. Like, Beta's, you know, phenomenal. It's one of my favorite. But I've just noticed that a lot of them kind of like more simplified, dumbed down main protagonists. For me, the thing I love about Sid is exactly that. He is just completely wonkos, and it just makes it for an interesting story. I'm tired of seeing stories where main protagonists are just cardboard cutout defaults that are just self-inserts for individuals to put themselves in and go, look, I'm in a fantasy world and I can self-insert because the character is a cardboard cutout and has the personality of a doorknob. It's like, great, that's awesome. If that's what you want, there's plenty of those out there, but I'd like some characters that are a little bit more layers to them. And that's why I like a lot of shows like Eminence in the Shadow, like Shield Hero, where the main character, sure, pretty crazy, does some things that you're kind of like, hey, you know, calm down. And also Mushoku Tensei. I like some of this. But at the same time, I do like shows where the main protagonists aren't too overly complicated and it's a simplified story. I like those, but I also want other things as well. I don't want everything just to be carbon copy the same. But again, some people like Sid, some people don't, and that's perfectly fine. It's not everyone's cup of tea. As far as the animation quality goes, I've seen some comments of people saying that they feel like it's rushed, that it's reusing scenes. To that, I would say rushed, it depends on what you define as rushed. I don't think it's heavily rushed. I mean, you could say maybe they could have given more time, and I mean, that's with every anime. No anime is perfect. I mean, as much as I love Freyran or Freyran, however you want to pronounce it, I get criticized either way, which way I say it, but if you watch that series, there's definitely areas where I sit there and go, oh yeah, they could have made this look a little bit better, that look a little bit better, but I realize at the end of the day that studios don't always allocate them a good amount of time to an anime to allow it to cook well enough that it looks really amazing. And that all comes down to just budget limits. Like, okay, how much money do they think they're going to make? Okay, well, we'll allocate this amount of money so it's still profitable. It all comes down to that. And again, time is money, but I still really love what the animators and the people working, the grunt workers, the ones that are doing all the heavy labor, those are the ones that I take my hat off to. And I don't say it in every video, and maybe I should, but I don't want to have to repeat myself. But in my mind, I'm always tipping my hat, you know, saluting those animators that work on these series, because they put blood, sweat, and tears into this. And Eminence in the Shadow is no exception. You can see the blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into this. So sure, you could say it's rushed, but it defines what you classify as rushed. Now, as far as things like, oh, reusing backdrops or certain scenes, to that I would say you're probably nitpicking at that point. Especially if you're saying that you have knowledge in anime production, which anyone that says that they have anime knowledge or stuff like that, I take with a grain of salt, because I get a lot of comments of people saying, yeah, I work in the industry, and then say stuff that just doesn't make any sense. But that being said, sure, they've reused some shots in Eminence in the Shadow, but that's also logical, because if you're using the same scenes, so say for example Sid's on the train, he's on the train in one, like in a couple of episodes in the early parts, and he's in a couple of episodes later, do you think they're going to make a whole new backdrop just for that scene? No, they're just going to reuse it, because it just saves time and energy that they could put into other things. Again, limited time means limited resources, means that they have to allocate it to the best areas possible. And if it's just one of those situations where it's just Sid talking, then they're not going to make something overly the top fancy. That's just a waste of time and resources that they can put elsewhere. I understand that you would love it to be all different, and it's like, cool, but I feel like that's been unrealistic. And at the same time, you say, okay, well then maybe they should allocate more money and resources. Sure, but if it's not profitable enough, they're not going to do that. And sadly, this is just how the world works. The big chair people upstairs, the big higher ups, are not going to just throw money willy-nilly at projects unless it really, really is going to have some type of return on in value. You look at something like Demon Slayer, and I know this will trigger some people, but Demon Slayer, it's a big cash cow. It makes them a lot of money. So yeah, they want to put a lot of money into that to draw in that specific audience that's really invested on that thing, and then they make the money back. But you look at some other animes, they don't allocate the proper resources needed to make it as polished. And you also look at other animes where the first season looks really good, and then the second season's quality goes down, and that's because, again, these studios or the people that allocate these resources are assuming that the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth season isn't going to make as much money, so they allocate less resources. But with Eminence in the Shadow, we're on a season 2, and I still think it looks phenomenal. Sure, there's always room for improvement, but I honestly feel like it is really, really well done. I really love it. Looking forward to the next future episodes. And at the end of the day, if you're not happy with it, that's fine. That's your opinion. I'm just giving my own opinion based on what I'm seeing there, and you're free to disagree with me. But again, I just feel like Eminence in Shadows has its areas where, sure, it could be better, but I think it's a phenomenal series nonetheless, and very much looking forward to it covering volume 4, at least the first half, because I don't believe it will cover the second half. That will be saved for season 3, which I assume will happen. So again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.